Welcome to The Nation. I'm Tamina Kausji, and now we have in the studios with us a very special in-house guest. Welcome to Dr. Rushmini Ismail, who is an esthetician, DNA esthetician, and we'll be speaking about the very potent topic of how DNA influences not only your aesthetics but everything from your health to various other factors essential to your day-to-day life. Welcome to studios, Doctor.
Thank you, Tamima.
All right, it's such a pleasure to have you here with us today.
Yeah, same here. I'm also very happy to be here,
right?
To address to our audience on the Nation.
Yes. Exactly. So before we get started off with, what DNA is all about and etc., tell us a little bit about your medical background, Doctor.
Okay, I'm a doctor. I work in a clinic, the private clinic, and my interest in beauty and health started years ago.
Right.
That was when I started my own clinic, and I find that patients come to see doctors not just when they are sick, but when they don't feel so good about themselves. Like when they have pigmentation of the skin, they have acne or
aesthetic
hair loss,
issues, for
aesthetic issues.
example.
They also come to see doctors. Then I see. At that time, I started to realize that it's so important for doctors to have extra knowledge in this field. Then I started to pursue my interests, and I did my master's in aesthetic and anti-aging so that I can give more to the patients.
I see. Right, so aesthetics and anti-aging. Now, what is the difference between these two specialties, Doctor?
Okay, it's related actually. In aesthetic, what we do is we enhance your beauty.
Right, okay.
We make your skin clearer, cure your pimples, remove the scars, But in anti-aging is another field. This is when the DNA comes in.
That's right.
So yes, because a young person is always healthy, and in anti-aging we believe that you can be young no matter what age you are.
Right, you can be young no matter what age you are. I think I love that tagline because it also speaks to all of us on a very basic level. I think these days it's not just about aesthetic concerns anymore, but the fact that if you look young, I think you generally feel young as well.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, how you look reflects your health.
Right.
You look young, you look slim, you look beautiful. It reflects a beautiful inside of your body, of your blood flow, and then of your hormones, of the action of vitamins inside your body.
Right.
So it actually, to look good, is not just skin deep, but it's also energy, energy-wise.
Right, your vitality and how you feel.
Yes.
Right. Now, all of this, of course, Dr. Rushmini, it starts from the very basis of human life itself, which is DNA.
DNA.
Right. Now, DNA is, I think, a term which our audiences and everybody out there with just a little bit of general knowledge, it's a very common term. It's bandied around, DNA this, DNA that.
Yes.
It's a very snazzy catchphrase. But what is DNA?
What is
really?
DNA? Yes. Okay, some time ago, we may feel that DNA is just a method of determining who the person is, right?
Right, yes, correct.
In crime cases, in paternity dispute,
True.
People want to know whose DNA does this child have, or
exactly,
etc.
Or who did this murder, or the fingerprints, etc.
But actually, what is DNA? Okay, 60 years ago, DNA was discovered by a scientist. Okay, and 10 years back, scientists pulled together, and they formed this the Great Genome Project.
The Human Genome Project.
Yes, the
That's
Human
right.
Genome Project, right? It's 10 years ago. So in this project, they pull DNA from many donors. So these donors come from all over the world.
I see.
Millions of donors give their DNA. And
just a small sample to come together as a pool.
Yes, as a pool, and it's been sequenced. And since that day, we've got a large store of DNA information.
A vast body of it.
Yes. And then we start to compare the DNA of a plant, DNA of an animal, and DNA of a human.
Right.
And we found out that there are many similarities. And it's the DNA that actually proved that we are living creatures.
Right. So despite the variations, we basically share genetic material about 90% and above.
Yes, 90%.
That's right.
Between a human And a chimpanzee, the discrepancies is only 1%.
That's right, absolutely.
Right. Okay, so what is actually DNA? DNA is the basic, it's a chromosome, is your genes, or we call it a genes. The genes that you get from your parents.
Yes, that's right. What is inherited, what you get from mom, from dad, from their ancestors before them.
Right. So this DNA determines your hair color, your eye color, your skin color, and then your height. Okay,
right, on the aesthetic level, that is.
Yes, it determines whether you're gonna have a good skin, or you're gonna be prone for acne. You have oily skin.
Right, problem skin throughout your life or during your teen years.
Yes, okay, so DNA does affects a person's health and beauty. It does, no doubt about it. But there is something more to it. Okay, DNA is not destiny of a person. Okay, it's not your destiny. If you have a DNA of, for example, a cancer, cancer DNA, or you have a DNA with diabetes or hypertensive DNA, does not mean you're gonna be, cancerous, or you're gonna have diabetes, because there is something more. Okay? This is called the epigenome. Epigenome or so epigenetic above the DNA.
Right. So we've been talking about genetics a little bit. Now could you explain to us from the baseline, doctor, what are epigenetics?
Epigenetics means the factors that surrounds the genome, that surrounds the DNA, the environment that surrounds the DNA. So this environment could be your food, the nutrition status, the exercise that you do, your thoughts. Either it's a positive or negative thoughts.
Oh wow, so all the way up to the mental and emotional, the cognitive level.
Yes, you're right.
Nice.
And the epigenome is the switch that turns the genes on and off.
Okay, interesting. So you've got the genes, then you've got the epigenetics, and the epigenetics have the capacity to influence your genes.
To influence the genes, is the switch.
Right.
All right. In each of us, we will have the good and the bad genes together.
That's true. I think a lot of us say, for example, we say, oh, I can't lose weight. It must be because we have the obesity gene.
The obesity genes.
That's right.
And it is true. It exists. Obesity genes does exist.
True.
Diabetic genes does exist. But don't forget, inside your body, you also have the good genes, the beautiful ones.
Okay.
So it's your choice to activate either the good ones or the bad ones.
Right.
And by using the epigenetics rules, you can easily apply to yourself and choose which genes you want to activate. So, and I hope our discussion today will shed a new light.
Right, yes, absolutely. Because a lot of the times, I think, especially as science brings us to new innovations, more information, people think, oh, okay, so genetics show that, you're either blessed or you're not.
Yes.
But what we're trying to say is that's not always the final answer.
The final answer, yes.
Right.
Okay, because inside our body, we will have two genes together.
Right.
Okay, one will express the positiveness and one will express the negativeness.
Right.
Two together. So the environment around the genes is the one that influence which switch you're gonna on and which switch you're gonna off.
Right.
So our target is to switch on the good ones.
Yes,
and
naturally.
then to switch off the bad ones. Okay, this is our target in the genetic study. Actually.
Right. Okay.
Okay, because you can't change what is already inside you, but you can influence what's inside you
and how it works.
Right. You actually can do that. Okay. So basically, in a human body, we have about 3 billion genes.
Right, okay.
It's a lot of genes.
Absolutely. It's mind-boggling what each one could be responsible for.
And each one is responsible for something. For example, one gene is responsible for hair growth.
Right.
And one gene is responsible for vision.
Right. Clarity of vision. Whether you have poor eyesight or good.
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
And you know that vitamin A, for example, is the one that enhances the vision genes.
That's right. Something found in carrots and certain nutritional supplements.
So you take that to enhance it. Right? Okay. So these 3 billion genes inside you works together to form a good you. And these genes needs something for it, to make it work, right? For it to able to do its job.
That's right.
It
so
needs something from you.
System, and basically, unless you sort of oil the machine, it's not going to work very well.
Yes,
okay.
It's just like that.
Right. Got it.
Okay, and as we age, right, definitely certain glands in our body,
yes,
the function, it will decline slowly, right? It will decline slowly, and then our responsibility is to detect what we need to put back in,
right?
So that these tissues will be able to work like normal.
Right, so they continue to maintain their equilibrium.
Yes, you're right. That is how we can actually turn back the clock.
Right.
That's what we call turning back the clock. Okay, to bring the body to a better state.
Right, than it even was before.
Than it was. Yes, you're right. Okay, so like I mentioned just now, your food, exercise, your thoughts actually matters. For example, good thoughts or positive thoughts makes the brain grow.
Right.
It does. It is proven. When we do a CT scan of the brain, it shows that whenever a positive thought is instilled to a person, the brain grows.
So let's say if you ask a patient in a CT scan to think of your favorite childhood memory.
Yes.
So you see something positive.
Yes, positive.
Right.
So this is used actually in a treatment for stroke patients.
Right.
Yeah,
to sort of help jog them back to better days.
I am sure our viewers may have a father or mother who is bedridden
or an acquaintance.
or acquaintance with stroke, right? So you just instill the positive thoughts, make them happy, and you will see a good progress in them. This is actually proven.
Oh yes, the power of positivity. I don't think it can be underrated.
Yeah, because in a stroke patient, the brain shrinks.
That's right, because of trauma.
Yeah, because of the trauma or due to a blood clot. You know?
That's right.
So the brain shrinks. So how do you make the brain grow? Positive thoughts.
Right.
So under a very positive environment, the brain heals. It grows.
It regenerates itself.
Because why? The DNA for the brain growth, it gets stimulated through this. Under a very oppressive environment, the brain just shrinks. That is why we see people with high IQ in a very advanced countries, where the lifestyle and the living status is high, right?
Right. Yes.
So because they are in a nurturing environment, they can think and they have a positive thought. So the brain grow and develop very, very much.
They have the freedom to do so.
Yeah.
Right.
So we can apply this in our home. Our children, you know.
Yeah, from all the way from children to adults, even the elderly
very
members.
Happy environment at home. Right.
Okay.
So how do you create a happy environment at home?
Right.
You play with them. Right?
Aside from laugh all the time.
Laugh all the time. Play with them, and this will help nurture them and make their brain grow.
Right.
Okay. And food that you eat. What are the food that actually helps their DNA to thrive? Okay, the DNA for longevity.
Right.
For longevity,
yes, because food, especially, I must say, generally the focus is food that is good for your health, food that is bad for your health. It's going to make me fat or thin or unhealthy. But you're speaking of food on a genetics level. Okay, so that's really interesting.
Yes.
Right.
So on longevity, they have found out that there are food that actually lengthen the DNA cells.
Wow. All right.
Yes. So actually, in the DNA cells, you will have an enzyme called the telomerase enzyme.
That's right, telomerase.
Right? Yeah. This enzyme actually makes the DNA duplicate. It helps the DNA to duplicate and maintains the integrity of the DNA.
Right. So the strength of the DNA
strength
molecules.
of the DNA molecules.
Okay. Right.
So as a person age, the telomerase enzyme become weaker.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
So when it becomes weaker, the lifespan become less.
Naturally, yes.
But you can actually enhance it, you know. So food like magnesium, selenium, and vitamin Bs are found that to scientifically proven to lengthen this
telomerase fibers.
Yes.
Right.
To lengthen this. So it actually gives a person a longevity, long life. So actually, in my practice, I emphasize a lot on the vitamins
right,
for the
nutrition
DNAs,
itself.
nutrition for the DNAs,
okay,
you know,
right.
because sometimes the patients will come to me and ask like, Doc, I'm having a gum issues.
Right, okay.
Why do I have gum issues? I take a lot of good vitamins. Okay, then I said, why not we checked.
Right.
What vitamins that you really need actually? How do you know, Doc, which vitamins? Simple. We can do either a blood test or a DNA test, right? Then from there we can see what is the deficiency that you actually need. So that is why I prefer to use a gadget in my clinic. I prefer to use a gadget like the one that's sitting next to me here.
That's right. So as you can see, there's a little space-age mini device sitting there. We'll get to that a bit later.
Yes, we will.
Dr. Rushmini will actually show us how to work that.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. So when you give the right food, then you can see tremendous improvement within 1 week. No more gum bleeding.
Right.
Yeah, and the patient will feel very glad about it because
the power of nutrition.
The power of nutrition. So how does this work? How does the nutrition actually works?
Exactly. So what we'll do is we'll cut quickly to a commercial break.
Yes.
And when we're back, we'll still be discussing especially how diet influences your DNA. Stay with us.
Bernama Today, a daily lifestyle morning variety talk show that touches on current topics in Malaysia and around the world. Also featuring compact interviews with guests from various backgrounds. Don't forget to tune in to channel 502 live from Mondays to Fridays. Kerjasama dua negara serumpun, Malaysia dan Indonesia. Hiburan, paparan budaya, dan gaya hidup menerusi Salam dari Kuala Lumpur. Setiap Isnin, 8.30 malam, hanya di Bernama TV.
Welcome back to The Nation. Still with me, Tamina Kausji and Dr. Rushmini, discussing about DNA and how it influences so much more than what you might think. Okay, doctor.
Yes.
So as we were saying, now nutrition plays a role in affecting, reversing DNA itself.
Yes.
You talked about magnesium, selenium. Now, what are some of the foods, for example, that one could eat more regularly to make sure you have these micronutrients?
Okay. Normally in my practice, I will recommend selenium-rich food for ladies.
Right.
That is mushrooms.
Okay.
Selenium is present in abundance in mushrooms.
Right.
And of course, the questions that I normally get is, can I use the canned one?
Ah, okay, yes, I'm
Okay.
sure. Right, so
Yes.
can we use the canned one?
Yeah, no, you can't.
Oh, okay.
Because in canned food,
right,
actually they are contaminated. They have a lot of additives
right,
inside it. And studies shows that additives in food does destroy DNA. It destroys. It makes the DNA weaker.
right.
Weaker, and at the end of the day, it can also cause the DNA to be mutant. So the mutant DNA will cause the cell to be cancerous.
Right.
So that is the beginning of cancer actually, when the DNA becomes mutant.
Right. There's also, of course, a school of thought within DNA research that says all cells are actually precancerous It's all about how you
take care of
your lifestyle factors, etc.
Not just food. There are also other factors that can change the DNA.
Right.
Okay, like
Such as?
virus. You know, like virus. So I'm sure everybody knows about the Hpv vaccination, right?
That's right.
So how vaccination can actually prevent cancer? That is because virus cause cancer.
That's
easy.
Right. And the same way, like HPV vaccine is most effective before any form of sexual contact.
Yes,
right,
it's effective
right.
that way. Because now we know that radiation, phones, waves from the phones,
electromagnetic waves and beyond.
Yeah, viruses and also food additives does have an effect on the human DNA, causing cancer. This is for sure. Right, and what are other things that that cause a defect on the DNA? Sometimes the defect on the DNA is created in labs.
I see. Okay.
Engineering.
Genetically engineered.
Yeah, genetically engineered. You know, so we have lots of foods coming up which is genetically engineered. And
yes, all the GMO, the corn that we eat, the soybeans as well.
And this is very, very hazardous to one's health too, because the DNA is not similar to the norm.
Exactly. I mean, there haven't been much research done into the long-term effects of it.
Yeah.
Right.
So the human body has a system of detoxification.
Right. Yes. Our own adrenal glands.
Yes, and also the system of processing the food that we eat. Right.
Yes.
But it is not accustomed to the modified food. It's not accustomed to modified food or to how to say synthetically produced food. Like for example, when you eat rice, but actually the rice is made of plastic.
Right.
It tastes like rice.
For example.
Yes. For example, it tastes like rice. So in your mouth it's fine, but when it goes to your system, it's not fine anymore.
Exactly. Your system can't understand or interpret it.
So it spoils your DNA in that way.
That's really
wrong. The information, the signals given by the genetically modified food to your DNA system is the wrong ones.
So basically it goes haywire within the system.
Yes, that's what we are afraid of, and therefore most countries, including ours, we are not pro for this modification in the genetic materials, right?
That's right.
So we are more with preserving the natural food. Yeah?
That's right. And I think Malaysia especially, even though our food culture, one can argue that it's very it's rich for diabetes, for hypertension, etc. But to a vast majority, our food is still home cooked.
Yes.
It is, while it might be very rich, it is still natural. It is, raw ingredients.
Yes, raw ingredients.
Yes.
And we also preserve our seedlings,
That's right.
And we don't modify anything because we feel that it is safer.
That's
it is
right.
better to be safe than sorry at the end of the day.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the one important, quite interesting fact is they are trying to produce genetically modified individuals, designer babies.
Oh yes, very true. And I think this started out almost a craze about a decade or so ago when it first broke.
Yes.
Now, genetically engineered babies, I think they have already been born.
Yes.
Some of them are already walking around.
Yes. So,
but why the interest and why also the backing by science to push something that might be seen as unnatural forward?
Yes, it might be unnatural, So I remember a joke. There is a beautiful girl who wanted to marry a genius, a genius professor.
Right.
Because the professor has a very
brilliant brain.
Yeah.
Right.
And she said, Professor, we get married and we're gonna have children. We're gonna have children who has my looks and your brain.
Okay.
And the professor
said, I see where this is going. Okay. But yes.
Yeah. And the professor said, oh, so what is happened the opposite way?
Right. Exactly. You never know, right? Luck of the draw, as they say.
Yeah. Okay. So this is just a joke, right? So basically, genetically engineered kids or children is still debatable. And in our country, we don't allow it.
Right.
We don't allow it.
I see.
Even inside our rules, we have a Sharia rules also.
That's right. It contravenes those laws
yeah,
too.
for Muslims, this is not allowed. There is a limit to what we can do in stem cell technology.
Right.
It's not everything that we
That's
can
right.
do. Yeah.
Exactly.
So every day in my practice, normally I come across patients who are well, have normal blood pressure, have a normal sugar level, but don't feel well.
Right.
This is don't feel well. Like doctor, I feel tired.
Okay.
I feel tired. Okay, and normally a doctor will say take rest, right? When
yes,
you feel
exactly.
tired. Oh, doc, I have rested for 2 weeks. I'm still tired.
Okay.
Okay, so what could be wrong?
Right.
Okay,
What's the root cause
what's
of it?
the root cause of the poor energy production?
Right.
Okay, actually, energy is produced by our muscle.
Right.
Okay, the mitochondrial system inside our muscle produce energy for us. Right? So to get more energy is to build up this system, which is through exercise.
Yes, that is definitely a quick fix in a sense.
Yeah, quick fix. Exercise is the best way, and believe me, exercise also creates a good environment for the genes of longevity.
Ah, okay, to help them to thrive in a sense.
Yes, people exercise not because the thinking should change. Like people exercise for the sake of losing weight.
Right.
And people exercise for the sake of living long and healthy. It's two different thinking. So that we should opt for the second thinking.
Okay.
Okay. Because most people, when they do exercise and they fail to lose weight,
right,
they will blame it on the wrong exercise and wasting time, right?
Or sometimes on their DNA as well. Say,
on the
well,
DNA,
I'm just meant to be slow.
Yes, meant to be slow, and then they stop their exercise. So we are campaigning people to exercise not because of to lose weight,
right,
but
for a more long-term goal.
Yes, long-term goal to make the genes live in a very, very good environment, to make the genes thrive.
Right.
And then they will have longevity and they can avoid sickness, because exercise will produce more mitochondria activity, and they get rid of the tiredness.
Okay, so basically exercise progressively increases your DNA's viability.
Yes, it does.
Right.
So exercise is one thing, nutrition is another thing,
yes,
and positive thoughts and good thoughts is also another thing, right? So now
yes,
we have touched the three important aspects,
the three
now.
Pillars, so-called.
The three pillars, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Okay, and there are also evidence of deficiencies,
right,
in a patient. Okay, when they complain of like hair loss, right? Hair loss, pigmentation, okay, or maybe nails, problem with the nails,
right?
Okay, these are all evidence of deficiencies.
So it's not necessarily only linked to age, for example, or the fact that okay, this is what naturally happens.
Yes.
So you're saying that it doesn't have to be
yes,
that way,
it doesn't
given
have to
our
be
medical
that
advances.
way. Yeah.
Okay, right.
Okay. These days we are surrounded by lots of modern food and modern conveniences, and also lots of pollution. Actually,
very true. Environmental pollutants. Yes,
pollutants. So these things cause the DNA to shrink, right? Cause the DNA to shrink. Okay, for example, insecticides that we use. Okay, so these insecticides you inhale, all right, goes to your system, and the DNA systems becomes haywire because it doesn't know what is it.
That's true.
Yeah, it doesn't know what chemical is it. So this can reduce hormone level at the end of the day. Reduce your hormone level a lot. And when the hormone level is reduced, then you feel tired too.
Okay. So the balance is caused, for example, in women it could even cause menstrual
early
disruptions, infertility, even in men.
Yes, even in men.
Right.
And another issue is plastic, the use of plastic.
Right.
This is also hormone killers, actually. Because when we talk about DNA, we have to talk about hormone as well, as a consequence, because DNA regulates all the hormone systems in our bodies, right? So plastic is a big problem for us.
Oh yes,
because everywhere we go, we are living in a plastic nation.
That's right, plastic world.
Plastic
really.
world,
exactly.
right?
Now, what can we do about it? I mean, we as individual consumers, as normal people living in society, we also make use of plastic.
Yes.
Now, what are some, for example, hidden sources of plastic in our lives, Doctor?
Yes. Okay, what I recommend at home is to reduce the use of plastic at home, or to totally avoid at home, because when you go to work, you can't help it, right? You just grab a bottle of bottled water here and there, you grab food in the plastic because you're always on the go.
Or styrofoam, etc. Yes, true.
But at home, don't use it.
Right.
So
minimize contact.
Minimize contact. Yes.
Okay.
If you can't avoid it altogether, then it is good to minimize the usage of it.
Right. Okay. So that would be one smart way of trying to eliminate. Now, what about personal care products? Do we also have lots of plastic and petroleum byproducts which are inside it?
Yes, we do. Yeah,
so
we
also
do.
Be very conscious of what you apply.
Yeah. When we think of it, every morning we wake up, take our shower, we use a soap. There's always some chemicals in it,
or
right?
additives. Yes.
Additive, definitely. Or our shampoo,
toothbrush. Yes.
Everything is plastic, right?
That's right.
So what happened to the body at the end of the day? What happened to the DNA at the end of the day is destruction. That's why we need to counterbalance it by taking the food which can help to detoxify these elements.
Exactly.
Yeah, we need to know.
Okay, so we need to know
what is it good for us, like so
what is
food
bad for us,
which is rich in magnesium.
So we'll get to that once we come back from the commercial break.
Yes.
Right. So let's cut quickly to that, and we'll be back again after the break with more on DNA and how it affects and also adds to deficiencies in the human body. Stay with us.
Menyelami realiti, menjejaki masa, meninjau peristiwa, paparan kronikal kembara kehidupan, pelbagai keunikan, juga pengalaman menarik. Segalanya disorotkan selama setengah jam dalam channel Bernama setiap Ahad jam 9.30 malam hanya di Bernama TV.
Masa, mengupas isu semasa, jadi saluran pelbagai suara, segalanya baru dan benar di Berita Bernama TV.
Welcome back to The Nation. Still with me, Tamina Kausji and Dr. Rushmini. So now Dr. Rushmini is actually going to be testing a little bit of my DNA so that you can find out and identify any deficiencies and so on and so forth. So let's go for it.
Okay, there are many methods actually for DNA testing.
Right.
And some people use the saliva, okay, a bit of saliva, and then send to the lab, okay. And for DNA of pregnant ladies, right, for babies, unborn babies, right, they want to know whether the baby has got Down syndrome or has got any related issues like thalassemia or
any birth deficiencies.
Yeah, normally they will take the amniotic fluid and then test it. But today, to make it easy in the studio, I'm going to use a technique which just check the nutrition nutrition status.
I see. Right.
I told you there's 3 billion DNA. It's
That's
impossible.
right.
We can test everything all together.
Naturally.
So this one is a method that we can check the hair root.
All right, a single
strand of hair from the hair root, and test what kind of deficiencies you have.
Okay.
So this is called the bioresonance. It's just like a scanner.
Okay.
Temuramah.
All right.
It's
so
like
it's a bioresonance
an
scanner.
X-ray. It's like an X-ray or CT scan where you scan.
Right.
And then the result will be interpreted later, right?
All right.
So we take a strand of your hair.
Okay, sure. So we're doing this live on air.
Yeah,
all
like
right.
that.
All right.
Okay.
Strand of hair
in.
in.
Put it inside.
All right.
Yeah, it's
wow.
inside, right?
Okay.
Okay. Now I can send it to Germany, right? And we use the internet connection to send it.
Okay. So the bioresonance machine, the image scanner, it's actually connected and hooked up to the laptop.
And we get the result in about 15 minutes. Maybe at the end of the show, we can have a look at your deficiencies.
Absolutely. Okay. So perhaps by the end of the show, we'll have a complete profile of what sort of deficiencies can be read through my DNA from a single strand of head hair. Fascinating.
So the beauty of using a simple device is because it actually ends our guessing game.
Exactly.
Yeah, we were thinking what kind of vitamins I need to take. Is it B1, B2, B3?
That's
thousands of it.
Exactly. Too many of them.
Too many. And
so you end up taking 12 a day, and that might actually be overloading your system.
But the most important fact why I'm doing this test to you, Temuramah, is not to make you go to the pharmacy and buy vitamins.
Right.
The most important fact is for me to suggest the food for you. It's a lifestyle change.
Okay, interesting. So that's exactly how Dr. Rushmini would actually diagnose any patient coming into her clinics and anyone asking for the correct form of advice for DNA rejuvenation.
Okay, in my practice, what I want is to achieve the right lifestyle for the person, and to have the right lifestyle, you need to practice. It doesn't come naturally, right? If you're not used to taking greens, and you need some greens, right?
Exactly.
You need to practice. You need to practice, and then
slowly, integrate it into your daily diet.
That's what we do. Actually, it's not for you to do the test and then to get everything from the shelves and but
pump it into your body.
No, that's not the right way. But we do counseling and then introduce the food, because there are many options of food which you may like.
That's right.
Many kind of recipes which you may like, and I will help you to choose which one. For example, you need more selenium, but you don't like mushrooms. What else can you take? But with this test, we actually
you have recommendations.
We will have recommendation in place. Actually, I feel it is very, very important for us to adapt a new lifestyle, right?
Exactly. So we've got a lot of conveniences in our modern lifestyles, but we just tend to grab for what is quickest, fastest, but that's not necessarily the healthiest.
For example, a diabetic person.
Yes, that's right.
A diabetic person. Okay, diabetes is due to the pancreas not producing enough insulin.
That's right.
So how do you make the pancreas get better?
Right.
That
how do you heal the pancreatic function?
Yes. So it's a chromium. We found that chromium is the vitamin that is very, very important for the pancreas to thrive.
Right. Okay.
So
chromium.
Yeah. So chromium is abundant in oysters and in seafood that has soft shells.
Right, like soft shell crabs, prawns, shrimp, and
lot
such.
of chromiums. Right?
I see.
So we will ask the patient to actually
incorporate
this food in their diet, and healing will happen slowly but surely. We can't expect result overnight.
Right, naturally.
Yes, you can't
expect
a
lifetime of damage.
You can't expect it to happen within 1 day or 2 days, right? But I have seen so many of my patients after 6 months or a year.
Right.
Wow, they can maintain.
Right.
They have cured themselves. Yeah, I can say they have cured themselves
Okay, and this isn't, you know, hocus pocus or some, you know, fancy theory. It's practical.
It's practical.
It's practice.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
So everything is long. So basically what you're saying, it's not only about nutrition, but habitual, correct nutrition.
Small nutritions like sulfur is also important. Yeah?
Right,
Sulfur.
micronutrients.
Yes,
that's
like my
right.
dad, you know, for example, my dad, he has always have fungal infections on his skin. And we always give him antifungal treatment.
Right. Just to
cream, you know?
help with the symptoms.
But when I did the test for him, then he has sulfur deficiency. So we Google up what are the food that has more sulfur.
Right.
So
I see.
you see, so he changed his habit, changed his diet. I think within 3 months.
Wow, there was a significant
improvement.
Beautiful.
No more
there you go.
fungals.
That's the power of, you know, natural cures. Really.
Natural cure.
Natural
yes,
food-based cures.
Yeah. To me, when we can achieve you know, this result, you know, and the patient, instead of taking more and more medicine,
That's right. That also, you know, tax the system.
yeah, and the patient can take less and less medicine and is more healthy.
That's right.
I think that is the true meaning of being a doctor.
Absolutely. I also think that's the true meaning of living a healthy life.
Yes.
I mean, there's no point being, for example, elderly in your 70s or 80s, but hooked up to an IV line or constantly guzzling pills.
Yes.
It's so much better to be able to move on your own steam.
Yes, you're right.
Right.
Okay. Because of that, motivates me a lot, you know, Temuramah. So normally I will have my my events. I call it my events, a workshop. It's a free workshop for public.
Oh, wonderful.
To teach what kind of food to eat and then what do you actually need to do. How do you monitor your health, basically. And
how do you move forth from there to practice in your daily life?
Yes,
right.
So if anybody in the audience is interested to learn from me,
right?
Okay, they can contact me personally or look at my website.
Right. So and where can they access your website, Doctor?
Okay, my website is www.marissaskin.my. So I've also got one personal website, drrushminimaris.com.
Okay, all right. So marissaskin.my as well as
drrushminimaris.com.
All right.
So on the website I put a lot of information from my research, right? From my research and how they can apply this on their daily life.
That's right.
I've even cooked up some recipes.
Oh wow, okay. So recipes that are for selenium deficiency, for chromium.
Nice. What kind of food you can eat every day, what kind of cooking is suitable for diabetics, based on my research.
I see.
Please welcome and everybody to have a look, and then maybe this can help to enhance the life of your parents, maybe
exactly, or even your relatives, yourselves. And now what we're actually doing is we're playing some slides which have been provided that actually show that yes, in fact, DNA does influence beauty and health, but as you said, there's so many ways to heal.
Especially epigenetics.
Yes.
There's a lot of studies, Temuramah, have been done on twins, you know.
Right, yes. Twins are, of course, a fascinating genetic study in itself.
And it shows that epigenetic does influence the twins, because one twin can become fat and one twin can become thin, depend on their what lifestyle they choose,
depending on what their DNA expresses.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yes, you're right. So a lot of studies shows that a person who lives in during the catastrophe, in Africa, they have got this catastrophe where there's no rain at all, dry, famine times, right? So the children who are not yet born during that time,
who are still in utero,
even when they grow up, they can actually think of the famine time. They know they know how hard it is during those times, because it's incorporated in their epigenetics. So epigenetic is not just what you eat, even what you experience. So you have to be careful in choosing what kind of epigenetics you want to put in your genes, because you're going to give it to your children. and grandchildren, right?
True as well, I suppose, yes. When you look at it on a very, very macro perspective, all the way down to micro, which is your direct descendants, right?
Okay. So if you practice to have a good lifestyle, you exercise, your children or grandchildren might
exactly, which is why, for example, we often see athletes come from families of athletes.
Yes.
Lawyers
artists,
might come from lawyer families.
And artists, singers come from a family of singers.
So that is also genetically
just like
influenced.
Yes.
It's also like genetically influenced as well.
Right, don't you think so?
That's right, yes. It does make sense, and also science backs this theory.
Yes.
That genetics are what you choose to express as well.
What you choose to express as well, yes. So I always campaign this healing of
healing the self.
Healing the self, healing of the DNA, because I believe so much that DNA can be repaired.
Right.
So meaning of repairing the DNA is through good food.
That's right.
Good exercise, and then and it's true. The healing does occur. Studies on DNA shows that when DNA is being given good food, it's being given.
When you nurture your DNA,
nurture, exercise, it heals. It becomes integrated and it becomes good.
That's right, correct. So basically, when the DNA is able to thrive because of what you're putting into your system, what actually happens on a cellular level, doctor?
Okay, when the DNA gets better, the cells also get better, because the DNA commands how the cell should act. The behavior of cells is always commanded by the DNA. For example, the thinking cells, I mean the neurons of your brain, right?
Right.
Okay, when the DNA is good, it commands the neurons to thrive and to think better.
That's right. To actually function in cohesion.
Yes.
Right.
And if you want to have children with good IQ, yes, the nutrition status is very, very essential. The nutrition status.
Like certain studies actually show that very high consumption of fish, for example, during pregnancy actually leads to children who develop much faster in the first few years of their lives.
Yes, you're right. That is because the content in the fish, the omega contents in the fish, is very, very crucial for the neurons to grow.
Right. Okay, so there you go. Now, we'll cut shortly to a commercial break, and when we're back, we'll be wrapping up everything that we've learned, as well as a focus on the future of DNA, as well as genetics. Stay with us.
Apa kabar pemirsa? Salam dari Jakarta. Sebuah program kerjasama kantor Berita Indonesia Antara dengan kantor Berita Malaysia Bernama kembali hadir menjumpai Anda.
Latest headlines, illuminating visuals, everything right and now on Bernama News.
Welcome back to The Nation. Still with me, Temuramah and Dr. Rushmini, for our final segment on DNA and how it influences health, lifestyle, and so much more than just the way you look. All right, Dr. Rushmini. So as we were saying, now DNA and looking towards the future. So what does the future hold for the entire human species? with regards to DNA research and what we've been finding out in the labs.
Thank you, Temuramah. Actually, I am very much relieved these days because a lot of this puzzle had been solved, right? So currently, we already have a way to determine deficiencies in the body, and we also know a lot about DNA, and more knowledge is coming out soon, right? It will be released soon to everybody.
That's right.
So before we were like in the dark, you know, and we blame everything on the genes without knowing how to overcome it, right? How to overcome it. So I was worried. Actually, I was worried. I always told my patients, I'm worried about the future. What if damage to the DNA become so vast and rampant? We're gonna have a generation of children in the class, the diabetic segment, the hypertensive segment, the obese segment,
the ones with allergies and
allergies, etc. We're gonna have all sorts of problems, right?
Society feels like it's getting sicker on some levels.
On some levels, but but with the modern breakthrough, the latest breakthrough, and a lot of scientists doing research, we know that actually DNA actually can be repaired through good food and exercise. So what the body needs actually is back to nature. So nature made us human. Eat right, exercise right. There's two things.
But
eating right, what does it mean by eating right?
Exactly. I mean, we hear that all the time, but I don't think a lot of us actually end up doing it.
Yes, eating right means eating food which is needed
by the body, by your specific body.
By your specific body, yes. Thank you, Bernama. You have narrowed it down to me so well.
So each person's individual DNA will determine what they need.
What they need, So later we have a one-to-one discussion on your test, right?
Okay, absolutely. I'm excited.
Yeah. So it's with me now in my hand. The result, right? It comes as thick as this.
Right. Okay. So that actually would be a sample of the type of profiling you would get if you went in for the DNA test with Dr. Rushmini.
Yeah. So
that's sort of like the blueprint for what's going right and what's going wrong.
Yes. So this thick book here will tell you what exactly the deficiencies that you need to counter inside your body, and by counteracting on these deficiencies will help you to have a better and a fitter life.
Right.
So talking about the importance of DNA repair, I would like to emphasize again that if you don't take care of your DNA now, you're going to give bad genes to your children to pass on, and then your children will get diabetes or hypertension at a younger age.
That's right, which is what we're seeing increasingly currently.
Yes, and maybe at the age of 30, but the grandchildren is going to have at even a younger age.
That's right.
Maybe at the age of 20, and the next generation maybe at the age of 15, right?
That's right.
But by repairing the DNA today, start
now.
Today, by taking care of your diet, know what's good for you and what's not good.
Know your macronutrients as well.
Yes. Go on, Google everything. The information is just on your fingertips, right?
That's right.
Your fingertips. Even I have set up a good website for everybody to go through and get some knowledge. Right? Go on, it's free. Knowledge is free for everybody. Why not? We
utilize
go for it. Utilize it.
Exactly.
Go for it, and then get some advice from your doctors. I'm sure many doctors these days have gone through a lot of coaching on DNAs.
That's right.
Because it's the most essential thing. Everything is linked to the DNA. Many diseases are linked to the DNA, which is actually a surprising factor. In the beginning, we were surprised. Diabetic is linked to DNA. Hypertension is linked. Cancer is also linked to the DNA. Heart disease also linked to the DNA. Hypercholesterol is linked to the DNA. What is not linked?
Exactly.
What is not linked?
So if we are hardwired for all these diseases, but what we mean to say is that you can also rewire or repair.
You can do a DNA repair on yourself. Start with yourself, and you will give a good DNA to your future generation.
Exactly, very true. So it all makes sense because it comes together very cohesively as a system.
Yes,
right.
Temuramah. Yeah.
All right. So to round things off and also to emphasize to our audience out there how important DNA is, let's also talk a little bit before we finish about the latest developments in DNA research.
Okay, the latest is more on the epigenetic.
Right.
Scientists now is talking about prevention, because prevention is the root of everything. So instead of we focus on the causative effect of DNA damage, which is a big thing. There's so many things that can happen when DNA get damaged. We try to focus more on the prevention side.
Right.
So we found out that eating food which is bioengineered is not good.
That's right.
To health.
Exactly.
And
No more GMOs, or restrict the GMOs.
Restrict. We found out that plastics is hazardous to health.
Very much so.
Yes.
Exactly.
So at home, please minimize on the plastic use at home.
Exactly. All the way from plastic bags to packaging to food containers.
Yes.
Even what you have in your beauty products.
Beauty products, yes.
That's right.
And even the chemicals that you use in your beauty products. So true, like mercury, those things, you know, can
those
enter
little
the
plastic
skin.
beads inside your facial washes and creams.
Yes, that could harm you as well.
Exactly.
So
And the
be
environment,
careful.
not to talk about.
Yes, and the environment, you're right. And we found out that food additives is not good at all.
Exactly. So all those colorful candies, for example, any kind of unnatural color in the food, try and stay away from that.
Yes.
Right.
So learn how to read the labels on the food before you eat, because sometimes the additives is written in another form, right?
Exactly.
In the chemical form, if you don't understand.
So
right?
always read your labels.
Always read your,
exactly.
your labels.
And basically, I think the 5-ingredient rule is a good one to follow. There's more than 5 ingredients in something, it's probably not great for you.
Yes, I agree with you.
Right.
Yes. The food should be simple, and you know, the recipe should be just like how our grandmothers used to cook.
Exactly.
Yes, fresh and homemade.
Exactly. So it all starts from nutrition, and it moves all the way into not only your genetics but your DNA affecting your epigenetics.
Yes.
Right.
Now, to conclude, this test will also mention what food that you should avoid.
Right.
Because the normal food, like the common food, sometimes also have got some chemicals which not be so good for you. For example, for somebody who's trying to lose weight,
right?
Okay, so food rich in thiocyanates is not recommended, because thiocyanates interfere with iodine absorption inside your body.
So there you go. So it all comes from what you eat.
Yes.
What you eat is truly
what
who
you
you
eat,
are. So thank you so much for your time today,
yes,
Dr. Rushmini.
Yes, I'm very happy to be here today with the nation, and I hope whatever we shared will benefit everybody at home who's watching us today.
It's been a pleasure, Doctor. And for all of those out there just watching, be sure to check out Dr. Rushmini's website, and we'll see you again next week on The Nation. Thanks for joining us.